Here's Peterson, left side at the goal line, fighting forward and getting in. Touchdown AP against the Vikings. Dula does wheel out. Cousins delivers for Beebe, who stays on his feet and takes it in. That'll do. Touchdown Minnesota, 40 yards for Beebe's second of the year.
Give it to Montgomery, who looks like he gets there, waiting for signal, touchdown, Chicago. Bears coming with the blitz. Rodgers sees it, floats it down the middle. It is caught. Valdez-Scantling going to go all the way. Touchdown, Green Bay. 72 yards.
Pylon listeners, welcome back to the pod. Week 17 of the NFL regular season has wrapped up. That means the regular season is over, and it's time to move on to the playoffs, where we are lucky to have 2 of the 4 NFC North teams being represented in the playoffs. So there'll be a lot to talk about. But before we do that, let's introduce the rest of the Pylon crew. So I'm Big Z representing the Detroit Lions. Let's go around to the rest of the crew. We got Remy representing the 3rd place in the NFC North, Vikings.
Justin Jefferson makes history. Skull, baby.
Then we got Barney representing the playoff-bound Chicago Bears.
It's got to be the most feared 8-8 team this league's ever seen.
And then last but not least, we have Kinger representing the Pack, who will be relaxing this next upcoming weekend.
What a day of football, boys. The playoffs run through Lambeau. Go Pack. What a day.
Yeah, it was an exciting Week 17 just around the NFL in general. A lot of exciting games, a lot of points. We'll be getting into all of that. And before we get into the Bears-Packers, the 2 teams that have made the playoffs, we're going to get the Lions and the Vikings out of the way here first. And let's talk about this game, Remy. There was a lot to watch in this game, offensively at least. 37-35, your team pulls it out. So I kind of win in a way because the Lions keep their top 10 draft position. If they won, they definitely would have been outside of the top 10. But, man, Kirk Cousins, 405 yards, 125 yards rushing. Alexander Madison looked good in this game. Talk about Justin Jefferson, too. I'm sure you'll want to expand on that one a little bit.
Yeah, 133 yards today has him as he breaks Randy Moss's record, rookie receiving record for the team, and then he breaks the overall rookie receiving record by Anquan Bolden. So it's great to have such a promising young wide receiver.
Wait, Remy, time out. He broke the receiving record all time today, too? I did not see that.
Yep.
Wow, that's very impressive.
So he ends the year with 88 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And he played in all 16 games and started the Final Four contests. And I think he had like 700-yard games. So, Kirk, I believe, finished with like 32 touchdowns and 13 picks. Not bad numbers. A lot of the games, even today, we're close this year. We won by 2 today by Detroit, but you go back to Seattle and Tennessee back to back, and we lose by 1 point. This is a team who their defense is going to be completely different next year. This was Mike Zimmer's worst defense ever, and it's because he didn't have the veterans up front on the line and at linebacking position to kind of help the young guys. So kind of a wake-up call, but I think our offense is definitely in a nice tactic to have, and once we get our defense rocking and rolling, this team's going to be back to competing for a Super Bowl. That being said, I liked what I saw today. The offensive line needs to get better. A couple of times they ran into Kirk Cousins. Definitely we need to improve on our secondary and our corners. Stafford had a heyday and picked apart our corners, and it was back and forth, and if it comes out of that 2-point conversion, could have gone on overtime, and it could have gone the complete different way. So and Kirk looked great. Like you said, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was a good day to be a Viking fan to end that good note.
Well, there's no better way to make your offense look good, Remy, than playing against the Detroit Lions defense.
I'll take it.
The Lions today, giving up 500 more yards of offense and 37 points, have become officially the worst defense in Detroit Lions history. And let me tell you, a team that has won one playoff game in the Super Bowl era, that's a bad history. So to be the worst defense with the worst franchise in terms of winning is really saying something, let me tell you. So I was kind of happy to see the fact that our defense just played like complete shit, just as a emphasize how badly we need to turn around this roster, in addition to the fact that we keep that top 10 draft pick. I'm going to miss Marvin Jones. I don't think he's going to be coming back. He had a monster game today, 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, just lit up that secondary. I was really glad to see Stafford out there, though. I mean, he played another great game, although he did what I keep saying it, there's always one interception in a game that just kind of screws it all up, and he did it
Harry
again today.
the Hitman.
Yeah, Harrison Smith just sitting over the middle waiting for Marvin Jones to run the post route. I mean, he was all over it. I mean, that's just what happens. Congrats, Barney, too. Hawkinson did not get 2 touchdowns today to tie Jimmy Graham, so he won that bet, man. Remy, you were asking me before if I think this is Stafford's last game as a Detroit Lion. I don't think so. I think he's back next year. That's my guess. First of all, his cap hit's too big.
I think.
But again,
I think he goes to San Francisco. I disagree.
You think he goes to San Francisco?
I think he goes to San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan.
How much is San Francisco going to give up to get him?
There could be a trade involving Garoppolo. There could be anything.
No. I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, let's get the rumors going. Jimmy G to Detroit. I think everybody.
I'm just saying. I've seen a couple of things to where
there's only one rumor I've seen so far.
Stafford could go to the Niners.
The only rumor I've seen so far is Stafford to the Indianapolis Colts. That's the only one I've seen so far.
I've seen that
tweeted
too.
by an actual reporter for the Indianapolis Colts. So that the Colts were expressing interest.
Wouldn't be a bad fit. Out of the NFC too.
I mean, that'd be great for the Colts.
Yeah.
But I actually think Stafford's going to be back in Detroit next year. So that's my guess right now. That's my way early prediction. I don't know what the rest of you think, but I think Stafford's going to be around. I think with the 7th overall pick, I do think they're going to draft a quarterback because there's at least 3, and one of them's going to fall there, and that'll be the long-term solution. And at the very least, we have a backup quarterback with Stafford's injury history the last couple of years that will give us a chance to win a game because Chase Daniel's not going to do it, that's for sure. But I do think Stafford will be back next year. His cap hit's too big. Unless someone comes in with a monster offer. I'm talking about like 2 first-round picks or a first and a second. Barney, you're giving me the
2
what?
first-rounders? No
you
way.
are on crack.
No way.
I'm not saying that's what he's going to go for. I'm saying that's what they would have to give to trade Stafford.
If anyone waves a second rounder for him, I'm telling you guys are taking him.
Yeah.
You're living in La La Land if you even think he's eligible for a first rounder.
This all depends on who the GM is, too. Like, Louis Riddick has come out and said Stafford would be the quarterback in 2021. He said that publicly. I don't think Louis Riddick's going to be the GM of the Detroit Lions, but it depends on who the GM is, I guess, is in his vision. But I would imagine Stafford around for one more year because he's still one of the best. I still think a top 10 quarterback in the league personally. But it's
2 first rounders. No way. No
I threw
way.
it out there, all right? I was saying a monster offer. I was saying a monster offer that would take him away.
That was like, is your internet slow over there, Jared?
I was just like, no way did he just say that.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, 1 first rounder is not completely out of the realm.
Yes, it is. I believe it is. I think he's a second round. I mean, he's getting old and he can stay healthy, but I don't know. He just
don't think a team out there, let's say,
doesn't have the
like the
accolades.
Colts, that's on the cusp of winning a championship with their roster, but they kind of lack the quarterback to take them from the top. I actually think the like a team like the Broncos, they have
Broncos
a good
would
defense,
be good.
terrible
The
offense.
49ers with George Kittle, Debo Samuel, when they're all healthy.
If I had to pick a team that takes Stafford, though, it's going to be the Broncos, just because I think John Elway really likes those veteran quarterbacks.
That makes the
like
most
Peyton
sense,
Manning,
and then he's
that
out of the NFC.
I agree.
going
I agree with
everywhere.
your statement on the Broncos too, and I think the Colts definitely are somebody that's in play because just strictly what they're looking, their entire team roster makeup shows that obviously it needs to be built around a quarterback. So I don't think that's unrealistic. But yeah, you mentioning 2 first-round picks, Big Z. I don't know. I don't know about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, maybe I misspoke that, but at least one first rounder. It would have what I was trying to get at.
I'd see that. I could see that, dude. I really could see that.
What I was mainly trying to get at is that the Lions would need a deal that they've had to be blown away with to trade Stafford. Otherwise, I think he's staying in Detroit. That's what I was trying to get at. In the end, despite maybe what I said in the middle there being a little over the top. But nonetheless, yeah, again, Lions 7th overall pick. Just some names that really come to mind. Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase. There's not really Rousseau from Miami. Maybe he has a good that's the D end. But either top wide receiver and then the quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. Those could all be in play. But that's a long, long way away. We don't need to waste our time talking about it now. So let's talk about what's happening right now. And let's move on to this Bears-Packers game that we saw today. It was close for a little while, and then a few things happened, especially 4th and 1. Barney, the 4th and 1 pass that went incomplete, and then after that, it kind of went downhill for the Bears in this game. You're giving me a question mark like it didn't go downhill, but it was 21-16, and then it wasn't very fast.
No. You said it was close for a little while. It was a 5-point game with 5 minutes left in the game, but
Yeah, a little while.
It was a very frustrating game to watch. I'll say that the first quarter, that was the fastest first quarter I've ever been a part of. There was 2 drives. I don't think I've really ever seen 2 drives take an entire first quarter and then some, because the Pack, I think the Packs finally scored, somewhere into the second quarter. But the opening drive, I thought it was great. Mitch was almost perfect. He had 1 incompletion. They were getting Komet in early on the game. I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic in his years to come. Montgomery playing well. It was a little scary right in the beginning on both sides of the ball, with Sullivan and Monty. Montgomery, it looked like he hyperextended his leg. He comes back 3 plays later. First off, I just want to say there's 3 guys on the Bears, and I don't want to shortchange Roquan here, but there's just 3 guys on the Bears here that aren't the best guys, but they absolutely play with a fight every second of the game, and that's Montgomery, that's Mooney, and that's Komet. These guys, it doesn't matter. The play is just not over until they're down with these guys. They hustle their fucking ass off, and I wish it was a little bit more contagious with some of the guys, some of the older veterans. They just are killing me right now with their lack of hustle there, but I think we saw just how vital Roquan Smith is to our defense. It just seemed like Aaron Rodgers absolutely picked us apart, mostly going after Trevathan and Josh Woods. You had that inexcusable completion in the end zone, that touchdown pass that none of our linebackers just picked up, even though they what was his name? Who's that, like, third string tight end?
Dominique Daphne, our undrafted rookie out of Indiana State.
Unreal. I mean, they both our linebackers drop back. He crosses the faces of both of them. There's nobody in front of those linebackers, yet they stay home right there. It absolutely kills me. But like I said, Roquan Smith going down. I just really hope that he's all right. He seems to have a pretty serious injury. It was an elbow injury. It didn't look good. And then the other big injury that I saw was Mooney's. I thought it was more of like a shoulder that he took from Adrian Amos. That was a fucking hell of a hit. But no reports came out. But Mooney's ankle's a little banged up, and if we're gonna do anything in the playoffs, we're gonna need Roquan and Mooney back. So hopefully the reports come back in the next 24, 48 hours that are promising.
Barney, that one long touchdown, it was the MVS right over Trevathan down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I wouldn't credit that much as on Trevathan as just being caught in a really bad defense on that one. I'm not sure what was going on with that. Why was Trevathan one-on-one with clearly a faster player? Like, that's just being caught in a bad defense, I feel, more than on Trevathan. Like, even if it was Roquan Smith, I think he gets beat.
Yeah, no, I think Aaron Rodgers had 4 wide on that play, and we were coming with Duke Shelley on the left side coming up with a blitz. So we took a DB out of the play with our blitz. He didn't get there, and I will say though, I don't like that matchup at all. Marquez, I think one of the guys threw out the stat that he averages more yards per catch, basically saying he's their deep threat, whatnot, in the entire NFL. And so I don't know. But that's the difference. It's not like we had that matchup in play there. But that's the way that LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are able to scheme to get the matchup they want. We're over here with Matt Nagy, and Matt Nagy was clearly calling the plays today. Matt Nagy, dude, he passed the ball and got Allen Robinson 2 completions today. That was his season low. When the playoffs are on the line, you're versus your rivals, and you're at home, you don't even go to your playmaker. I mean, it's inexcusable. A real offensive coordinator, a real play caller, doesn't say, well, Jair Alexander had him matched up or whatever. No, they scheme coverages. They put the motion in to make sure that they get the coverage that they want, the matchup that they want. And we don't do that. And it's fucking it's like a 3rd grade offense every fucking time I have to watch them play. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and let's get Kinger in here. Kinger, how do you feel about this Packers defense performance? We know about Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. But let's focus on the defensive side here first for the Packers. And how do you feel about them getting a bye week and then heading into playoffs?
I mean, I got to give definitely credit to the Packers defense. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to give some credit to the Bears because ultimately I do think that they did some things on the offensive end. I think that run game, especially early on in the first half, I mean, if you're looking at it from a Packers perspective, Montgomery wasn't going off by any means, but there was definitely some cause of concern. I mean, that first half, like Barney already talked about, that first drive, I don't think you could draw up any more of a picturesque, perfect drive for the first drive for the Chicago Bears right there, right? Taking up 8 minutes, driving down the field. They controlled the time of possession in this game, which you got to give them credit for because in my opinion, that's the big formula to beating Green Bay is controlling that time of possession because we do have so many dynamic weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And I think the Bears did a great job of that. But ultimately, we've already talked about, I think Green Bay obviously was prepared on the offensive side. I think that going into this game, obviously there was, Green Bay can score with anybody in the league. And I think some of that scheme and some of the areas that they were able to exploit, I think that does come into a lot of that preparation and coaching that LaFleur put together. I'm going to give credit to the Bears because I think the Bears played a better football game than I anticipated. I think regardless of the score at the end, like Barney said, it was 5-point game with 5 minutes left. And I think the Bears did a lot of things right. They kept Packers fans sweating, especially with MVS dropping that early third quarter, bomb on the first drive of the second half that really could have probably put them away then. I think if you were looking at that from a Packers perspective, there was definitely cause. I mean, you definitely were on the edge of your seat, right? So there's a lot of things that they did, but ultimately, they made the plays when they needed to. They did stop the run, and going into today, I wanted to make Mitch throw the ball. Mitch did a great job, and Laser did a great job of calling plays early in the game to get the ball out of Mitch's hand quickly. A lot of throws underneath, a lot of quick throws to the tight ends, wide receivers, and especially with Green Bay playing a lot of soft coverage, it was working very well. But ultimately, we wanted to make Mitch throw deep. That was the goal, and he did make a couple mistakes when it came down to it. But overall, I mean, you got to be very happy with Green Bay's performance today. We got the job done. It wasn't the prettiest game of the year, but We made the plays necessary. We beat our rival, and we're going to be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. But that being said, I'm not going to come here and bash the Bears because I think the Bears shown that they're obviously a very improved football team, and they definitely gave us a challenge today. But overall, it came down to it. We got the playmakers. I believe that we were the superior team, and we made the moves when it was necessary to get the win today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Barney, let's go over. First of all, you need to give our producer Kid J next time you see him a big hug for getting you in the playoffs here, because the Rams beating the Cardinals in an ugly game, a very ugly game, but nonetheless help get the Bears in and help you enjoy a Bears football at least for one more weekend.
Yeah, you know what? If we went 8-8 and missed the playoffs, I'd be at Hallis Hall right now waiting for Matt Nagy to get back. I'd just beat the shit out of him myself. But I do want to say one thing, and I'm 100% serious. I think it was very wise of the Bears to lose this game.
Explain yourself.
Because if we win, right? If we win, I'm pretty sure. Did the Seahawks would that have?
With the outcome of today's game, with Seattle winning, you would be going Green Bay next weekend.
Man, I would have loved that. And I'll tell you why. I'll have to wait till the NFC Championship to prove my point, because I know the Bears will be there. We'll just see if Tampa or if Green Bay will be. But there's the old adage: it's very hard to beat a team twice in a season. I'm a firm believer in that. It's true. The Packers did it. It's next to impossible to beat them 3 times in a season. And I think the Bears gave up this one because we're like, you know what? Eyes on the prize. We're going to get them in the NFC Championship. They're not going to understand where this team came from. I'm excited.
Wait, actually, I just want to correct myself here real quick, because now that we're thinking about it, New Orleans and Seattle won today. So that means that we would have been the 3 seed had we lost. So I don't know where you would have been going, actually. So you would actually, I misspoke on that. I definitely agree with your point. Beating the team 3 times is hard. But I think the Bears actually would have avoided it. I definitely think I misspoke on that, because now I'm processing it in my head. I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Are you drinking some victory wine? Are you like LeBron James?
He's really relaxing now.
Oh yeah, definitely. A couple cocktails in me, a little wine. It's a great end of the evening, boys.
Oh man, and it looks like Barney, that the Bears will be playing at New Orleans on Sunday evening, 3:40 Eastern specifically. So that's a good time slot on CBS. Also on Nickelodeon, this broadcast will be, but that's like a separate kids thing they're trying to do or whatever. But on CBS, so it looks like you're getting Nance and Romo. So that's a good broadcast, at least.
Yeah, and way to the Bears. So we're just outthinking our opponents every step of the way. We get to face the Saints in the Superdome during COVID. I mean, you cannot.
Maybe with no Alvin Kamara. Maybe
without Alvin Kamara. I mean, I don't know. I think the Bears are playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers, guys.
Ian Rappaport tweeted that Alvin Kamara looks like he'll, since the game's on Sunday and not Saturday, that he should be activated by then to play. So, keep an eye out for that. Those things are goofy. But I want to ask you, Barney, too, about Matt Nagy and Trubisky. They make the playoffs. So, by making the playoffs, does that mean both will be back next year for the Bears?
I've got next to zero faith in Bears ownership. If it were me, I would personally bring in a new GM. I think that's important. And I would have a long talk with them, and I would have them make the decision. But as far as I'm concerned, with Trubisky, that's tough. Because the Bears are very, very cheap organization. As far as the coaching goes, they're still, their contracts are still in for the next year or 2. I don't know. I gotta look, but regardless, they're still slotted there. And as far as the QB position goes, Nick Foles is guaranteed, the next 2 years worth of money. So I doubt it's tough. Like, it's like, Are we going to run back the same exact? If we run back the same exact personnel, it's a clear money is the only motivator for the McCaskies. They don't give a shit about, what's important here. I think they'll put Pagano as a scapegoat, which for the highest paid defensive team in the league, Pagano more than deserves a shellacking. All right. But I think they'll get rid of him. My guess is they'll get rid of him. They'll keep Pace and Nagy and Trubisky. But the only way we're getting Trubisky is if it's like, some dog shit deal. It's got to be cheap because, they're already paying Nick Foles a lot of money, so it wouldn't be surprising to me if we had Chase Daniels suit back up for the Bears.
Well, I don't think you're gonna have Chase Daniel back personally, but
I mean like somebody that's just gonna maybe be like $3 or $4 million. It's gonna be a joke.
I got you. Well, we can discuss that further. I think once we've seen what the results of these playoffs are. A big playoff run obviously changes a lot of those things too, Barney. But I just want to go over the playoff schedule really quick here. So just for listeners might be interested, so we have Colts and Bills on. This is Saturday's schedule. Colts and Bills at noon, Rams at Seahawks at 3:40, and then Buccaneers at Washington or New York. We're recording this as the final game is wrapping up. That's at 7:15. Then on Sunday, you have Ravens at Titans at noon, Bears Saints at 3:40, and then Browns Steelers at 7:15. So that's the schedule. And Barney, if your team wins, you'll be going to Green Bay for the divisional round. So because you're the lowest seed, and the top seed plays the lowest remaining seed. So if you win, you'll be seeing the Packers in 2 weeks.
Beautiful.
But yeah, man. There was one thing I wanted to mention in the Lions game. I was going to mention toward the end here. I just want to talk about one of the, if not the worst call I've ever seen in an NFL football game. It was roughing the passer. I mean, if anybody didn't see it, the Lions stopped the Vikings on the goal line on third down. Kirk Cousins gets tackled. It looks like a normal tackle. No one to think about it whatsoever.
You can't drive him into the turf. That is the rule.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, dude. You do not mean that. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. No.
That is all.
No.
Remy, the last person I want to defend today.
I don't agree with the
last
call.
person I want to defend today is Big Z for the bullshit he was talking this earlier. But I mean, that was like a DB, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's smaller.
This
I'm pretty
is
sure he's
football.
smaller
You tackle
than
people.
Kirk Cousins. I'm pretty sure he's smaller than Kirk Cousins, and he got rough in the passer for landing on him.
Kinger,
Like,
remember
that
the
guy
one against
needs
Kirk
his
Cousins?
body.
Clay Matthews tackled Kirk Cousins. He was throwing the ball, and it cost him the game. This
I
reminded me of
remember that. The
but
team
this
that
was
doesn't get
even
any
worse.
calls, right? The team that doesn't
This
get
was
any
even
calls.
worse than that.
But did you want to win or lose?
Oh, no. I said I wanted to lose. So I was actually – if it was
I
a
think
game
that game worked
mattered,
out
I
well
would have
for
been
everybody's
livid.
favor.
Although I can guarantee you Darren Bevel will not be head coach. If I was the head coach of that team and I saw that call, I would be on the middle of the field yelling at the ref. The fact he was as calm as can be and not looking angry at all. There's a time and a place as a coach to get like absolutely batshit angry, and that would be the case when your team is getting absolutely screwed over by a referee's call that makes absolutely no sense. This is the worst call I've ever seen in Detroit Lions history. That includes the Packers' hands to the face thing that they made up. At least that one's an excuse. Maybe you saw something, but this is football. This is football. You tackle people into the ground. It's what you do.
Big Z, you bring up a good point there. We need to normalize head coaches being tossed out of the NFL. We need to let them have their, 2 minutes in the sun like we do in the MLB and let them just give it to the refs and then get sent out. Because there are some calls. We were just looking at them like, how is this coach just going to sit there and be like, oh, okay, I guess I was, roughing the fucking passer. 180-pound cornerback tackling a 200-pound QB. It's like, give me a break.
I completely agree. I mean, this is just mind-boggling. Dean Blandino came on the broadcast. He's like, he was at a loss for words for a few seconds. Like, I guess maybe putting his body weight, but, like, I don't see it here. He was at a loss for words. Everybody was at a loss for words. It made no fucking sense. I hated it. But, I mean, at least the Vikings scored. The Lions keep their draft position. But, I mean, my God. If this was a playoff game or a regular season game that meant to go to playoffs, I don't even know what I'd do myself. I'd walk to New York where the headquarters office is. I don't know what I'd do. I mean, just Remy, you have to admit that was a terrible call.
I agree.
Okay.
Hey, have you guys ever seen a game start off the way the Bears-Packers game started off, where it took, I don't know. I mean, there was a coach's challenge, and
I know, fucking opening kickoff. What? How does that?
I was screaming at the TV like, Cordero, you dumb son of a bitch.
He got lucky. I think he got lucky. I don't think he did
I don't think he meant to do that. I think he's just being an idiot.
Yeah.
I think his intention was right, Barney. I think he was intended to, catch the ball out of bounds. I think he just think he was a half second early, but we're not here to discuss calls tonight. We're not here to discuss calls.
Yeah. We won't get into that. But I mean, if his intention was that, I mean, it was a poor effort.
I agreed.
He's a dude that's like 6'4". He was like, only a yard away from the sideline. Get your ass on the sideline before you touch the fucking ball. But I was screaming. I'm like, if this is because at that time the games had all just started. I didn't know that Kyler Murray was going to go down because that was huge. So I'm like, this is how we're going to fucking have to play the Packers. Open up the game on the 1 yard line. Like, you dumb son of a bitch.
And to answer your question, Barney, I have seen that before. I think actually the Lions, I think it was the Packers that it happened against too, where the Packers like laying out of bounds on the 1 yard line. Like, I'd never seen it before, and there was a challenge. So I actually have seen that before. I can't remember if it was against the Packers, but I believe so a couple of years ago. So I had seen it before, but man, it is really bizarre to see that happen right away. Oh man. So I think that's going to wrap it up here. We will have a lot more to discuss, especially for the Bears and the Packers as the playoffs are really ramping up. We'll probably focus more on the Bears this upcoming week as the Packers are just going to be sitting back watching who their opponent will be. But yeah, King, you want to throw something in there?
Boys, we made it through our first full regular season. Look at us.
Oh, yeah.
The Paul Rudd gif, look at us. We made it. It was a lot of fun. Here we are. Luckily, we got a couple NFC North teams, but it was a good season. I think we got a lot to look forward to going ahead.
Definitely a fun season.
Absolutely. Well, fun season for a few of you. I don't know about me personally.
Still had fun.
I don't even mean to say
on
this
the
as
podcast, not watching
I don't,
my team.
I don't even mean to say this as a dig, Big Z, but this is nothing new for you.
Yeah, I know. I know. And the Lions at least did it with their on steroids this year, blowing big leads. We got to see it all, blowing big leads, being the worst defense in the history of the entire franchise. Yeah.
No 20-point lead was safe with Detroit, I'll tell you that much.
That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure, Barney. All right, so we'll be back later this week discussing the playoff game, the Bears going to New Orleans, and I'm sure we'll get some injury updates to report on there, and then we will, be back with some, obviously, bets for the weekend and all that good stuff. So the Pylon on Instagram, please follow us there, Twitter at the Pylon Pod, and please subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave a review. We'd really appreciate that. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you have a great start to your new year, and we'll look forward to talking about the playoffs with you later this week.
Bear down.